call our meeting back to order. Thank you for your patience. That went a little bit longer than we thought, but that's the way those go. So with that then, I would ask for an approval of the consent agenda, please. Which is covering the minutes of the last two meetings, the bills or claims from City Hall Department, Fire Department, Library and Cemetery, and our budget report as well as the ambulance, golf and sales tax.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the sales tax, by the way, was up, BBB was down. But if we use your scenario about 2019, we're ahead of that.
Oh, good.
So that's a good news. Okay, with that, we have a visitor. Oh, how did that get slid like over there? So we moved that podium, so it makes more sense. Oh, sorry, Kelly, didn't know you were on your.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So Dana, KLJ, would you please make your presentation? Looks like we've got some paperwork here too. Thank you.
I did bring plenty of paper. Just gonna run through the various projects that are ongoing and provide some updates, and take questions and go from there. So first one is Echo Valley subdivision phase 1. Actually, that's probably phase 1 and 2. Mayor, hopefully, it seems like we're gonna be at the end of getting that application in here pretty quick. I did look at the application that you sent me, so that works good.
Okay,
I think that's the next big step. Of course, now the South Dakota Housing is asking for us to, actually, they want us to construct phase 1 and 2. Which kind of makes more lots, brings down the lot cost a little bit overall. So that's why we're asking that. And what I'm here tonight for is, when I met with you, Mary, you mentioned that because of the application, it's really now we need to go into bidding this fall with the intent of construction in 2023. So what I have as part of my packet, task order amendment to do that construction admin, also covers some of the costs for some of the extra work we've been doing just with, we had to break it down to phase 1 and we're going back to phase 2. So there's some extra work in there. Some of the cost estimates we've been going back and forth on, different stuff like that too. So our latest cost estimate for phase 1 and 2, and this is what we're going to provide the state housing as part of that application is, we think that cost to do that construction is going to be about 2.3 million. That includes water line and water services to all those lots. It's 41 lots. Sanitary sewer to just a portion of phase 1, and then 12-inch gravel road for the entire phase 1, phase 2. So 41 total lots, which is a lot of lots, and really will provide some options for housing as well. Any questions on cost estimate, which is page 3 of the packet? That's our best guess of latest costs, but we seem to keep rising rather than going down. And then I did include a map of what phase 1 and phase 2 is for Echo Valley. Large color map. So as part of our amendment, what we're planning is full-time construction observation. So that's every day the contractors out there. We're assuming about 3.5 months that the project will take. It will take quite a while. Various meetings. We have material testing in there. We'll have a sub-consultant do that for us. Any sort of questions from the contractor as they come up. We assume there's gonna be 6 pay applications, and final closeout. Construction staking will be quite a bit too, but then I have a list of things we redid as part of phase 1, phase 2, stuff, so. I guess I'll ask you to consider that task order amendment tonight, so we can move on to bidding and that's the next step.
So do you see what he's talking about where he says the amendment?
That's page 4, amendment. Page 4. And I think what we can try to do is, if Fourth Avenue is gonna be constructed at the same time, we can actually, we'll have one person and it can just kind of go to both projects. So we can have some savings for that too. This is more of a worst case, and just in case the projects don't happen.
So what I'm looking at is a 3-page document here.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
amendments,
Okay,
3-page document, page 1, 2, 3.
okay. So would I have a motion to approve this amendment? Amended, agreement.
Mary, what's the amount on that?
So, and I can look at it. So the original design amount was 84,750. And then this amount for the construction services, the extra work during design is 223,000. And the bulk of that, so the big amount is that daily observation, material testing and staking. It's like 3 things that add up a lot to that cost. So overall, I anticipated about 900 actual hours of observation, which is a lot of hours.
Yeah, I need a motion.
I'll make it.
Okay, it's been moved to approve the amended engineer owner agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Next, industrial park development, industrial park lift station. So we had a substantial walkthrough last week where we just wrote down some items that need to be looked at in terms of lift station and industrial park out there. It's majority of it's done. They're out there kind of smoothing out some of the dirt work and stuff that they disturbed. Doing general cleanup on end of the month on August 30th. I'll actually be out there installing power from West River Electric. And then once that power is installed, then the pumps will show up and we'll drop the pumps in the lift station, hook everything up. We'll run through it to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to, and then they will be mostly done. So, the really great news, we are actually tracking under budget.
that is very good news.
So yeah, we're looking real good here. Fourth Avenue reconstruction. I think everybody's aware of the project on that. The biggest thing right now is we need to get with the railroad company. Right now, the sanitary sewer doesn't flow very well under the railroad. We need to contact them, just kind of get some information from them, and then the idea is to redo that under the railroad if we can make that flow better. Right now, there's about that much water constantly sitting in the sewer, which is not good. So then it doesn't flow real well. It causes corrosion back up the lines, in the manholes and stuff, so we could get that fixed. And after that, Kelly Avenue, we have some nice updates for you guys on Kelly Avenue. If you go to, on the back of your packet, there is some large formats of the plat. What it shows is, it shows the proposed lots for Kelly Avenue, Gloria Avenue, or Gloria Street. And we actually show the Governor Homes on there. Trent gave us various options of how those Governor Homes. So we kind of use those to fit them in there and size the lots. And, you know, he was really talking about the four on the west side of Gloria. But when we go and plat this, because we want to just plat both sides of the street, so we can put water and sewer services in there. We end up with 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, we end up with 10 lots, so there's quite a few lots, there are actually 9 lots, so. That very north one, we won't have a road to it, but all the rest would have a road right next to it. You build on them at any time. So. And then the last large format actually shows the same thing that we just showed the water and sewer where we have. So that's where we're at preliminary wise. Now we got to take it to the next step within the next couple of weeks of finalizing everything and getting the budget. That we can get it out to interested contractors. And I think we have some interested contractors, and I think that'll be right at that timeline of like Governor Homes. One big thing I need to do is I need to send this to Eric and the Governor Homes. Here's what we came up with. You know, just get the take on it.
Okay, and then at what point would we be ready to move forward then? With, putting the road in and what's our,
So we have, what do we have, planning commission at the end of the month, right?
right,
So what happens is, so they can look at it and hopefully approve it.
okay,
And then I think right after that, we'd actually have final documents ready.
okay,
So then we can get an interested contractor, you know, ready to go basically in September.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty close to that timeline that the Governor Home guys are looking for.
okay, perfect, all right,
Well, they'll be able to start, but we do need to get the state to approve our water and sewer, which has been taking about 30 days, but the contractors usually can start with their work and stuff like that.
okay, okay. So do you need us to approve anything, or this is for informational right here in terms of the Kelly Avenue?
Yep,
Information?
Just information,
Information.
knowing that, I want to
Okay.
get with Eric and others on all that, give an update.
Okay. Well, good job, you have really hustled.
Yeah, it's been exciting, there's a lot of stuff going on for Wall, which is exciting to see. And
But it's gonna be so good having lots available and quite a few.
Yeah.
Great.
yeah, it'll be in a lot of different various type lots too, you know, between Echo and Kelly, there's a lot of different sizes, a lot of options for people. Anything else for me?
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You need me to stick around for anything else?
I don't think so, Carolyn, can be anything you can think of.
Okay.
No. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so that moves us to, item number 10. Tim Eisenbrown. See him?
Not here.
He's not here. Okay. Was he here and left, or we just haven't seen him tonight? Okay,
I was supposed to send him a reminder and I did, and I never did hear back. Okay, then he acknowledged.
okay, sounds good. Okay, that brings us to Mark. It's gonna be efficient and effective and. Mark Hammond.
Oh. I'm gonna try all that stuff here that I need to get through. I'll start out with, kind of where we left off. I have some questions for the council. But, I'll start with those. When the Airbnbs, started coming into town, did the council do any research on this? Before they approved them, did they know what they were or what they are? What are they?
Places for people to go and stuff for
Okay,
a while.
okay, well. And did the council do any research since this come up on the board? Was there anything done? Because there was gonna be some research done, to see what the other towns are doing.
Oh, yes,
So
yes,
that's been done?
yes, it has, yeah.
And, why did the, council approve there be Airbnb across the street from me, but they only had 2 signatures? A lot of these signatures, the Airbnbs are up to 6 signatures on 2 different streets. And, as you know, it says all neighbors. And I strongly think I'm a neighbor. Like I said, I looked out the window, I called, let's see here. I wasn't ready. I'm ready, but I'm not ready. But, I called to find out what, what is a neighbor, and I ended up calling, I called the Southfield legislator. I started there and said, well, we don't interpret the law, we don't do this. And they told me to call the Department of Deeds, they told me to call the Attorney General. No, so I got on the old Webster dictionary, and a neighbor is somebody, you'll have it in your packet, I have a packet, that I just want to hand it off right now. So you can kind of follow along. And the packet explains, and that's yours. That's yours.
Thank you.
And that's, I'll tell you one right here. And they have that. And it describes from Webster Dictionary, it says, the person lives near or who one not far off. Well, it's not far off, let me grab the street. If the city is gonna have ordinances that say you need all signatures, well, I don't understand why it was approved.
Good question.
Well, I mean, I'm in a position where a guy knocks on my door and he says, hey, would you sign this? And I asked, hey, is there gonna be an Airbnb? And he says, no, and I called Carolyn and asked Carolyn, she says, yeah, it is an intent to be an Airbnb. Well, all of a sudden, I decided to find out what Airbnb is. So I just got online like any normal person would do, and look up things and find out, educate myself and see what they actually are and what they entail and the format. And one thing simply led to another. But, and then, I have
Mark,
some,
aren't some communities, not receptive to having Airbnbs?
no, I'm very opposed. One way across the street from me. I'll get to that, but, another thing, why would Grant come to my door, asking me to sign a petition when he clearly thought I was his neighbor? So, like I said, I decided I didn't sign it because I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what was going on. But as I said, since we have different people here, with Betsy here, I'd just like to raise some of my concerns about the issue that I'm having. And, I live in a neighborhood where I think that I should know my neighbors. And, you have that right to know your neighbors. Having Airbnb is a commitment of responsibility. You know, it's to our community and, you know, they don't really know who's coming and going. I mean, Airbnb, the platform that they rent it, it's another company that rents these rooms and Airbnb takes the money, the people grant and those people don't even know what they cost. You know, it's different than a hotel, you know, it's an exchange of money. But anyway, having an Airbnb so close to me is a real problem with noise, trash and safety. It could be an absolute nuisance. When one group's arrives, I'll be worried what will the next one be like? You know, I mean, I don't mean to be negative, I just mean to be, you know, what could happen? I mean, maybe not now, but maybe down the road. I mean, if they're approved, then they get to keep doing it over and over in time, something's gonna happen. I mean, if you have a motel and somebody builds a motel and destroys it, wrecks it, you know, should remember that. And then I hold a grant, we talked about that last time, we had a grant, contact him with the good salt, with the rapid, and, what else can a person do, you know, try to get a hold of him, try to resolve it. And Airbnb owners have no direct relationship with the renters, hotels, as Airbnb do. Is that right, Todd?
What was that? I'm sorry.
No, Airbnb owners have no direct supervision or relationship with the renters.
They're all rated on a 5-star rating, so you can tell who's checking in. Hotels can't do that. They no rating on that, so you don't know who's checking in there. But if someone is coming to an Airbnb, the host is able to read all the reviews of that person. And if there's bad reviewers, my personal choice, I want to rent to them because I won't want that for my neighbor or my house. So.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they just had something too on the news about in that whole area that they didn't know. And they don't, and then people warn them as the homeowners, hey, you don't want these people. They have been issued in the past. So
Well-
they police it, I believe.
May I add one thing too? He said he's been doing research and everything, but have you asked the neighbors of our community that are next to Airbnbs how those guests have been? Because I'm sure you will find zero.
Well, I read your reviews, whether they're in town, or whether they're foreign.
There's 4.
They're stick to close, but, or, you know.
There's 4 in city limits.
That's my question too. Do the Airbnbs know that addresses, name, and phone number of their guests are renting?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yep.
You do know?
They're
You
verified.
yourself know them.
We don't know them. They're
Okay, see,
verified.
that's the point. Yes or no? Did they know them? No, you don't. I mean, they're really no. I mean, you know,
Marcus, I don't know my customers. They
you
come
see
in-
them, when they check in like Lori does. You see them.
Well, yeah, you see
You
them,
see them and you
but-
remember their face and you know there are no phone numbers in there.
but it's same with Zach, he gets the name and address and phone number.
A picture of them.
I have, depending on the person,
Okay.
you have maybe a 3 or 4 minute interaction with them, so you don't really know them.
And with interactions too, we message our guests as soon as they reserve one, we message them, they message us back. There's a back and forth communication between the guests.
And not against Mark,
That-
I rented an Airbnb. Sorry, yes, I know I'm a motel owner.
It's nice to have a whole house. full.
And we had a pool right there. We stayed for quite a while. But we were in contact, or they checked us out. They had to,
You in contact with whom? Airbnb?
okay,
people that
you're
own
right,
property?
you're right. This was,
Yeah, through Airbnb. See,
Property
that's my
manager.
point. I mean, I don't to be so passionate about this, but it does bother me. But most,
Yeah.
but most owners, like I said, they don't know, and I understand that Airbnbs are booked for a rental company.
yeah,
And the renters get on a website and book their stay, and then after that, the owners of the property have nothing to do with it, basically. They really, you know.
well, when you
They
check,
just exchange money, you know, you rent my place, I'll go in and clean it after the next one comes. I don't know.
When we checked in, we had a folder literally this big of, rules and instructions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you cannot have parties.
Yeah,
You have,
in 2020, I don't know where, but in 2020, they had a party in Airbnb and there was 5 deaths because of this party, whatever. And that, in 2020, Airbnb had changed their standards of safety.
Good on them for advancing.
yeah,
Okay, so Mark, okay, so you've given us a packet here, so we've got a definition. And you've also given us ordinances from,
Right.
Custer.
I'd like to go through those to tell you what they are, so, they're on record, so. you know,
Okay, well, we are already at 10 minutes on your presentation,
Okay,
so can you conclude in 3 minutes, please?
I doubt it, I'll
Okay,
try. Okay, so let's go to that then. The ordinances I called Deadwood, Custer, Lee, Hill City, Kadoka, and, Phillips. Okay, the ordinance for Custer, they do not allow Airbnbs at all. In Hill City, they had a vote, and there's no Airbnb at all, okay? And for Custer, there are no Airbnb at all. That's a hard one to read, Stephanie. Finger packet too, that's a hard one to read. I mean, I had to call him, Jeremy Russell and, ask him about it. It's difficult. And then the best one of all, if you read any of them, the best one of all explains it in absolute quality detail is the one from Philip. It's so incredibly written, no stones unturned, it explains everything. They have a limit of 4 and 1 bed and breakfast. And, Wall of the 6 towns, Wall is the smallest. Wall has the most Airbnb. You know, and another thing, this one thing here, I contacted the Department of Labor. I got a 2 minutes. And, does the city know if the Airbnb have a license?
do they have,
Airbnbs are classified as, they're classified as hotel motel, all right? They have to have a license with the Department of Labor, okay? But they have to pay sales tax.
yes,
Do you have a license for an Airbnb? You don't pay sales tax? Huh? You pay sales tax. Okay, well, anyway, I talked to Julie Ramsey from the Department of Labor on Tuesday, August 16th. The department does not have the manpower to inspect. This is quote unquote from Julie. The Department of Labor does not have manpower to inspect and handle all Airbnbs. She said Airbnbs have popped up all over the country and office has handled countless complaints about Airbnbs with noise, safety, trash, just to name a few. This is an absolute quote from her. I wrote it down as he said. And Julie also said it's up to the city to enact and enforce ordinances in compliance with South Dakota laws. You have those South Dakota laws in the back of your packet. It's a second class misdemeanor is what it showed. And he said to me about lead, if I mentioned lead, but lead is an 19-page packet. I decided not to fit 19 pages of. She mentioned it to me in our conversation that lead only allows Airbnbs as long as they have a license from the Department of Health, and those licenses are $1,000 annually. And do I know where time?
no, you're at 9:05 on my clock here, but just a comment that I did want to make here.
Yeah.
On the June 2nd minutes, we approved the conditional use permit
Right,
for this individual.
right.
And our ordinance says that it's good for 3-year terms unless there are complaints. And so I guess if, has there been someone stay there already for an Airbnb?
No, it's rented now, but it will be. I mean, in time,
It's rented
all these
to
properties that say they're
an individual?
Yeah, there's a lady later that used to work
What's
at
her
the
name?
school.
The teacher?
You don't know your neighbor, Mark? You
Yeah,
just-
I do know my neighbor.
What's her name? You just say,
Her name's Sandy, she lives across the street from me, Jerry. I believe
Okay,
it's
so-
Sally.
Okay, so
Sally?
it's rented to an individual, which that's an appropriate use. And so I guess what I'm saying is the permit has been granted. The ordinance is vague because who is all the neighbors?
Right.
That's one of the things when, our comprehensive plan people get done with their thing, the next thing we're gonna start doing is dealing with some of our ordinances. And so if you do get an Airbnb person staying there or whatever they're called, Airbnb guests, and there is an issue, then you would be, welcome to bring a complaint to us,
Well,
a legitimate complaint.
I don't understand, Mary, that if there's an ordinance and it needs all signatures, that it goes through anyway, it's difficult to understand it. You know, another thing, if I got a few more minutes, we have 7 families on that street. Within 2 blocks of that Airbnb, it's back in Airbnb, you know, everything. So of those 7 families, there's 16 children, and they range from, 2nd grade to the 8th grade, and we have two more kids, and 1 more family that just moved in. So we have all these kids running around being children, and, we got all these strangers coming and going of all hours of the night, and we don't, you know,
Okay, but at this point you don't, you have a person who was a teacher that is renting. And so,
so council's saying, you're saying that it's gonna remain an Airbnb.
well, we already approved it
Well,
on the June 2nd permit with the
can
June
it be
2nd minutes.
retracted? I mean, it's clearly not under the ordinance in the line with the ordinance that the city has made.
Well, that's a discussion that the council can have. But we appreciate all the work that you've done in terms of all the
So,
definitions. But we do have a lot of agenda to get through yet tonight.
should we table it for next time?
I'm not saying that we're gonna table it. I'm gonna visit with the council about it further. Okay? Get some input from them,
So
okay?
what becomes of businesses in town that aren't legally, following the state statute, you know, the state law, you know, if, you know, like I said, it's a misdemeanor and, you know, they're breaking the law. I mean, is that an ordinance to the city to enforce, or this is, like I said, Julie said they don't have the resources to track all these Airbnbs down. So they're not they're not getting these licenses that are required to the state of South Dakota.
Well, that is a nuance with the definition, and because really the law doesn't specifically cover Airbnbs because they're such a new development. So the definitions do talk about short-term lodging, which covers Airbnbs, but because it's not specifically referenced, there's not really a form currently to fill out with the department. So when the person you spoke with, Julie Ramsey, when she said we're not enforcing it, it's because they're unlike like a bed and breakfast. There's not just a form for Airbnbs yet, and it's kind of not enforcement priority because it's such a new thing. But I would say, you know, he likes the one that we drafted for Philip, and Brittany Smith and I drafted that one. And I'm happy to work right in the manpower since that. I'm happy to work with the city on any language changes we need for ours.
Okay, perfect.
Real quick on the conditional use permit, I had 6 signatures that said, and I went above and beyond because I wanted to talk to everybody, because that's the person I am. I got a person that we were separated from property, and I still went and got their signatures just to be neighborly. I did not, however, go across the street in kitty corner, kind of like how this situation. I didn't get their signature, so.
Well, it says on your application that on Lucy's name, it says on the application, across the street, yeah, it's right here. It's right here.
So Carolyn, would you please,
Lucy Hoffman, right here. Six
make
signatures-
note that we
six
will
signatures with two
begin
different-
conversation with
I
Stephanie
said, Dorothy.
to look at our B and B, and we can make a decision on that in the
Well,
future.
I know, but you
Is that
said.
okay with you, Mike?
Whatever.
Okay. All right,
I got a question for the council. So if we're gonna limit Airbnbs, do we set a standard and tell somebody that rents a house that they gotta rent it for a year? I mean, where do we stop drawing the line on that? Do we have to make them rent it for 6 months, a year? I don't know how. It just seems like it's getting in a lot deeper than.
And I feel you guys are discouraging entrepreneurship very hard with this too. Trying to, people that haven't done anything are trying to do something here. And if you guys put limits on it, I mean, like Jerry said, then should we start renting houses for 6-8 months out of the year instead of 4 when we have workers come in?
Well, and another, I want to on that just a little bit too, another thing to consider too, if we're gonna make a ruling against Airbnbs because of housing issues involved, and we should probably make rulings about vacant parking lots, vacant lots that sit in town that aren't being built on, that aren't being used. Where do we draw the line when it comes to property rights? Because there's a lot of property in this town that does not have a business or a house sitting on it that is privately owned. Yeah, if it's truly housing that's the concern, then we better address all the issues.
exactly.
Because there's more than just Airbnbs that are taking up housing.
Okay, so we, Carolyn has noted that we will have we'll follow up with, what'd you say your name was? Stephanie. Oh my gosh, okay, just joking, I know, Ms. Trask, and, we'll start that conversation and see, what we can do in that area and taking both property rights and rentals, take all of that into consideration. Okay, so moving on the agenda, that brings us to the sewer line to Hillcrest Properties. This was brought to our attention. Lee, do you feel like you and Garrett came to a conclusion? Each of you, council people have a map in your,
I think Garrett and I came to a conclusion, I guess, when we did that, when Garrett did not want to run everything into a manhole, because that it creates problems if one property owner backs it up or whatever, so we wanted to do individual lines. So,
okay, so there's a sewer line that runs right along that. You'll have individual
individual sewer line.
sewer to each one of those. Okay, so do, any of the council have any questions or concerns about?
What did they do with the motel part? That, because I know that was,
The motel, like the office.
or the opposite.
The office will have to come out the front as well, because the existing line goes north into the property,
Okay, that's
which
right.
won't be, and it looks like it goes, Garrett and I, we actually thought it went and it ran to the west, out the west side of the house to the street. And that's actually, I guess at one point Neil had a camper or something parked there, and there's a sewer line that went north from there into a pit north, so that wasn't a sewer line. I called Neil and I had a conversation with him. And
So everything's gonna be out.
everything has to come to the south.
And I was at a meeting yesterday that thought Hillcrest was for sale again. They didn't realize that your for sale line sign
But
is for each
there's
one.
additional signs coming for that.
Okay,
That's-
good
that's the only one
idea.
they had, so, no, so,
Because I was a little alarmed when they told me, well,
no,
Hillcrest is for sale.
no, so, just the office of every box,
Okay,
so,
okay, so you're good.
we're good.
And the council's good, they've got a plan. Okay, so public comments then. Does anyone want to make some comments? 3 minutes. To address their concerns. Zach,
No concerns here.
oh, you're ready to go to 14?
Oh, no, I don't have concerns. I just want to make a public comment.
Okay.
Council, I'm Zach Hoffman. I'm going under public comment on behalf of, State Wall. We'd just like to thank the whole local community for coming out, for our first event and making it very successful. It was all because of the locals. I mean, they came in and sat down, came with the family and friends, gathered, and had a fun and relaxed time there. And it was just a good atmosphere and all locals from all aspects, and it was really nice to see. And we are very appreciative of the locals here. It was good burgers. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, be on the lookout for our next event.
okay, sounds good.
And then, one other thing under myself for a public comment. When we were working at the, corner, for those, we kept track after our third day. First 2 days, we didn't keep track, and then we were like, this is a problem, so we started keeping tally up on our pole. And we had 176 people, full blown, run through that thing. We didn't count the rolling stops, we didn't count those, and those are just the ones we noticed. So there's very, very many more. And I mean, you average about $122 a stop sign violation, that's over $21,000 that went within that 8 days. You know, so, and last time we had this meeting, or last time at council meeting, it said that there was gonna be more of a presence there, and I was there for 10 days and didn't see one.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
for that
Just for
information.
notes, can I ask what that number was again?
176.
Got it, thank you.
And it was commented too that the locals run that. We counted 3 locals out of that 176. So,
Good. Any other public comment? Okay, that moves us to Zach Hoffman.
voting council. I'm just got put on the agenda because I want to try and get talk started of a YMCA type facility. Again, at the state wall lot there, I talked with a lot of locals, and I mean, that was one thing that got brought up, that there was nothing here for the community to do, and a YMCA type facility would be pretty nice to have for the community to be able to go and work out or play basketball or, you know, lift weights, run, and maybe even look at doing an indoor pool, because pool is a great exercise for our elderly as well. And I by no means get rid of the outdoor pool, because that's something great for the kids during the summer, and it's a fun time there, but not everybody goes there to work out, because there are kids and some people don't want that around. But if there was an indoor pool where there was, you know, some type of membership or something that you could charge, people will be willing to go there and work out and swim or play basketball, lift weights. And
The powerhouse
yeah,
is, I mean, that's where you can lift weights and basketball.
and yeah, but so like, why can't the city have something to give to the community for that though? Why does the school have to provide that? And I'm sure there's
The city does provide them with money towards that,
towards that.
just thinking
Oh,
about.
But it has been studied, and the cost of it in the past was just, especially the pool part and the maintenance of it and everything. It has been brought to our attention in years past too, and it just, the city was not, but maybe we could use it, stop sign money.
Right, yeah. But like, I mean, even looking for grants or, I mean, even funding and stuff to put back into this community for kids and adults to use, maybe your fake IDs would start coming down, because maybe they go and work out more and instead of trying to get into bars.
All right,
Thank you guys.
certainly a good idea. Okay, thank you. That brings us to the building permit. Stephanie Ballmer. Would you like to tell us what you've got planned there, Stephanie?
My plan is to put in a bookshop. It will have fabric, supplies, and I'm looking into putting a, quilting machine in there, a long arm machine also.
Okay. And where will this be at?
At 112 South Boulevard. On the north side from the shop, off the ground.
Okay, that's a 14 by 20, okay.
Stephanie, what's a long arm machine?
A long arm machine is a big machine that you can put the quilts together with. You put the backing and the batting on and then quilt it together.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so,
And Garrett did look at this, he had told me, and he said the location is fine where she's got it indicated on.
okay, that's important. And your completion date is December 31st? So grand opening January 1st or?
Yeah, hopefully soon. We're getting everybody to move in and everything, so we're still working on that. To get that settled after we get.
Okay, any other questions? Motion to approve,
Make that motion.
second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this commercial building permit. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Hi,
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
we'll be excited to see this.
Thank you very much.
All right, Wall Economic Development Director report.
Now, we do limit 10 minutes, don't we?
Well, hello, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Callie Carey. I'm the new Economic Development Director. I started on August 15th. I'm also serving as the Assistant Finance Officer part-time, so I will be helping Carolyn with that as well. To get started, I wanted to discuss Senator John Thune's visit on the 15th. He met with some of the community leaders and took Q&A from them. It was a great turnout. Tuesday, the 16th, Mary and I attended the Pennington County Commissioners meeting. We updated them on where we're at with the industrial park. They're reiterated that they're really excited about that coming up in Wall, and they requested we let them know before we start selling lots because they would like to come out and take a tour of the area. On Wednesday, what was called senior living, but is now noted as Aging in Place Committee, met with Bobby Boland. She is the Aging in Place consultant, and we kind of figured out what our next steps are so we can get the ball rolling on that, bring that project to life. And lastly, we have 2 Economic Development Board positions opening in November. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've had a busy week, that's for sure. So, okay, Dr. Kedman, the Wall School District Superintendent report.
Good evening. Tonight was our first home football game.
How'd that
How
go?
did it end up?
It's still playing 47 to nothing. So no, I don't know what the sport is. I'm
I just watched the whole game too. Okay, but
He isn't.
coming up on the 27th, we will have our first home cross-country meet out of the golf course starting at 10 a.m. And it will also be our first volleyball game starting at 1 p.m. So we are getting lined up for activities. Junior high football will start on Monday, and then we'll be going full throttle. So we're looking forward to seeing some of these activities. Open house is October 31st, 5:30 to 7.
August, you said October.
I've been getting the months screwed up all day long. Okay, August. And it hasn't even just been 1 month. I went June, I went, and everybody's looking at, okay, so it's been one of those days. August 31st, 5:30 to 7, by all means, please come and to the school, meet the new teachers, meet the old teachers, meet the teachers. It will also be an opportunity for kids to put their stuff in their lockers, We will have the free and reduced applications, available. These are important to consider. You know, even if you qualify and don't wanna pay for your lunches, we'll charge that, it's fine. But, the numbers that come from the free and reduced lunch, they affect all our federal funding, avenues, which include Perkins, that we use for CTE, for current technical, education. It affects our title, those funds we use to provide interventions for students. And when you look at all the ESSER funding that has, come out, to schools, you will see there's a dramatic difference between us and some of our neighbors. It was all based on our qualifications for free and reduced lunches. So please don't overlook that application. We will be starting in service the last week of August, and we are going to be focused on 3 different things. One of them is CPI training, and that is, intervention for, critical situations, whether it be a young person or an adult. In that you can bring them down, cool them off, or legally restrain them. And this has been very important because there has been some school districts that have found themselves in serious lawsuits, restraining someone illegally. Mr. Sikora and Ms. McLaughlin went to a training in March in Sioux Falls, and now they will come back and we'll have a full staff training. I even have to do it. So I have to change my ways in school to everything down. So anyway, but this is gonna be a good thing for our whole school. Bus drivers, lunch people, everyone. We will also be working on rigor and relevance, in our, lessons. And what that is more hands-on, more applicable, more, relative, lessons for our students. And we'll also be looking at structuring our lesson plans so that we, are aligned with standards, we're aligned with student needs, and again, more rigor and relevance. So that's my update for this month. Any questions? Good you. I'll try. All right, thank you all. It's my bedtime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to our, to Rick, and he would like to talk about reviewing our resolution 2208. You wanna carry that, Rick?
As
or
soon
do
as
you-
I find it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is that the animal one? Yes, I want to talk about, you know, we had resolution 2208.
They're
And,
both there.
and they're both there, thanks to Mary. And I encourage that we take out the 7-day delay after each offense. And I don't think that's the best idea. I'm recanting that. I think we should leave it in because, okay, I kind of was mentally more geared up to dangerous animal situations, but these are like dogs running at large, unlicensed dogs running at large, barking or howling dogs. And in the way it's set up, first, you know, if the dog is running at large, they get a letter of warning that's delivered by law enforcement. And then a second offense could come 7 days after that, which, you know, if they get the letter and it's delivered, that's their first offense. 7 days after that, and then they get $100 fine. And then if there's a third offense 7 days later, which, you know, then it's a $250 fine. And then a fourth offense. Okay, so after the second, the fourth offense, is there, Carolyn, is there 7 days after the fourth? Or, well, there would be the third offense not to be, with the fourth offense,
With the fourth offense, then they are asked to have the animal control.
and that could happen right away. And then they're asked have the animal removed from town, and I just think that's a better cadence. You know, they get the warning, and then after 7 days, they get another warning and a fine, and after 7 days, they get, the second one's $100 fine, then $250, and then, the third offense is $250, and then if the animal's still running around after that, it's banished from the town. But I think that's a better cadence for our citizens. People love their dogs. And I think that's more fair, because the way we move to, you know, you could have the first, second, third, and fourth all on the same day. Yes.
So on the fourth offense, we asked them to remove the animal and it's been removed. Do we restrict them from getting a new animal?
No, I think it just applies to the animal that's been removed. That'd be my assumption.
If it's a new animal, we might not have that issue. I mean, you know, temperament of the animal.
Well, if it's running at large,
most
likely they're not going to keep it locked up the next day. If it's in their yard, then that's an issue.
But we can't say you can't get it.
Yeah, you can. Linda, would you like to speak?
Yes, so Rick came to me before the meeting, and thank you for the hour and a half executive session that gave me time to think about this.
You're so welcome.
Anyway, so what I kind of interpreted from this is we may actually be talking about three different things. One is there's no mention in here of how long it takes law enforcement to deliver the letter. Is there a time frame for law enforcement to deliver the letter? That's the first question, or the notices on the phone. The second thing is, if you look at number 2, where it says unlicensed dog running at large, it says 10 days be given to get the animal license, which basically is saying they have to comply with the ordinance. So the second offense, they get 5 days, which again, basically says they have to comply with the ordinance. There's nowhere in number 1 or number 3 that says they have a time limit on complying with the ordinance or paying fines. So if you say 7 days, to me, the 7 days should say they have 7 days to comply with the ordinance and, or pay the fine. And the third thing, and that's on number 1 and number 3. And yes, removal of the dog should be immediate. There should be no hesitation, no time limit, and on that at all. The third thing is giving a person, or 7 days between complaints. That does not work for me. What about the people that are affected by these animals running at large or being barking or threatening in some way? We're only thinking of the person who owns the animal. We're not thinking of the people who are affected by that animal. So that's my 3 comments on that. Any questions?
So we had 7 days. We passed that, then we took it out, we passed that. Now, what's in front of us is an opportunity to put the 7 days back in. So council, what are your thoughts about this?
I don't like the thought that you can get 4 warnings in 1 day or 2 days. I kind of am with Rick. The 7 days. And I understand, Linda, I understand you. But most people, if they have a pet, they're going to be responsible. You,
Not in this case.
exactly. Okay, so this person is not responsible for the dogs. But most of them are. And has there been any more problems? Really?
Yeah.
So why isn't there another complaint?
Well, we're trying to wait and see what the city council does, I think. And honestly, sometimes it seems to, forgive my bluntness, fall on deaf ears. So again, we're not giving credit to people who are affected by these situations. And if somebody's animal is running at large and
Yeah.
threatening somebody else,
Okay, the threatening, that's vicious or
well,
vicious.
even barking can be threatening. If that dog was running toward me, barking at me,
But that's vicious, that's,
I'm on my property.
yeah, yeah, that's vicious, and if I were you, then I would. would
I
call
didn't
the
have a
police.
picture to prove that that dog did that. We can't discharge a weapon in the city limits.
In self-defense,
Yeah.
there's exceptions.
Carolyn, how does the 7-day thing, you deal with it more than anybody, how does that work? Do you like that time frame?
Just as you commented, yeah, I mean, I would hate for one animal to receive or 3 complaints for one day and it's out of town. I mean,
You know, they're kind of like week increments, and we get a complaint, hopefully on Monday. And, you know, it takes, you know, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, we track down law enforcement to deliver the warning.
it's usually that day they deliver. I mean, you're addressing, you have to look at the majority of the town. If one animal is behaving this way, then the council is going to have to take special action on this animal. But you cannot fit this ordinance or this resolution over one person. It's just not practical.
Yeah.
There you go. But anyway, if the 7-day thing works for Carolyn, who has the most experience, I just think it's more fair.
I have a question. So what do the deputies in town do? Do they enforce the ordinance of the town, or do they enforce the ordinance of the Pennington County?
Town,
Huh? They do.
Yes.
I talked to a deputy about that the other night, and I was told that they enforce it through the city through the county, because the city, correct me if I'm wrong, if there's one offense, you know, if bites a person, whatever, that dog's pet and whatever put down now, without, you know, another chance. And that was, I mean, that's what this person told me, that they don't follow that the animal is destroyed after the first offense, but bites somebody. They said we decided to go with the Pennington County because it's not so
No,
Our
aggressive.
ordinance does not have them destroyed at first offense. So
Really?
they did not. Yeah, they should.
Well, they don't know then. I mean, they don't know,
Then that's,
deputies don't know. I mean, maybe they'll get together with the city and
we've had
decide
conversations with the deputies.
who's in line.
We've had conversation with the deputies.
Yeah.
We will follow up on that, Mark, and make sure that every deputy is informed of that. And I'll be meeting with the sergeant next week, so. Okay,
But
good
that,
point, thank you.
but this is on the agenda, so I'd make a motion and I'm reversing myself. But I think it's better if we go with that, with the 7 days.
Okay, there's a motion to put 7 days back in. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say, oh,
Do we need to change the licensing time to 7 days too then? Are we giving them 10 days to get the license? Is there, we need to move that to 7 too, so they're all.
So all this procedure does is just kind of puts it out there in short term, how the ordinance reads for people. It wouldn't make sense that we would put a resolution out there to trump ordinance. And so we're following the same timeline as ordinances, but we're just putting it in a shorter frame so that it can just see this and it's all right there for them. rather than trying to read the whole lengthy ordinance and just supporting that this is how the procedure is gonna take. So no, you would never want to put a resolution in there that was less than the ordinance. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, good question, Jerry. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to, cost for curb stop replacement. Carolyn, can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, I visited with Garrett and he said that there wouldn't be much material cost to the replacement of this curb stop that I had asked about at the last meeting. He wasn't sure at the time until we visited at the location. Of course, if he got down there and found out it was way different, which can happen in any case, but he said most of the cost would be just their time into it.
Okay,
And so he's guessing it might, you know, he calculated their time out. The material would maybe be under 100 and their time might be around 500. So
okay,
it'd be 600 to replace this, and we have some leverage for when a bill gets over 500. We don't have any recourse in collecting, we can't shut it off.
okay, so do you need approval, a motion or anything, or this is information?
Well, it's information, but I guess I would like a motion to move forward with curb replacement of the location that Garrett and I have visited about. And I
Okay.
really want to put the address in.
So-
Exactly. Okay, so there's been a motion to approve replacing a specific curb stop. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? All those who say aye?
Aye.
Okay, disapprove? Okay, motion carries. All right.
Mayor,
Oh,
what about item 19?
We move
we,
that.
we moved that up and discussed that,
Sorry.
after you left. Yep, you're good. Thanks for paying attention. Wow, way to be on the ball there. Okay, 21, alcohol consumption permit. You have a request, in front of you, council. And this is for,
It's an event that's being held here in the community center. And I have been asked this before, but when I reached out to the Department of Revenue with this question, I was never given a straight answer for it. They have a new person in the Department of Revenue now. And so when I reached out to her, she referenced the statute that I included in that document I gave you. That there is a statute that you can do a consumption permit, and it's only for 24 hours. So I did reach out to some other towns to see how they handle it. Like Spearfish, they allow administration to approve it. You can still put guidelines, like they have to have insurance proof, you know, proof of insurance or whatever, along with that. Because they have their pavilion in the park at Spearfish, and so it just works better to do that. But others require the hearing, just like you would if you issued a full liquor license. Some do a special license, like we do for other, like the bars to have, serve alcohol in here, but they're charging for it. In no way can a consumption permit, they can charge for the alcohol. They have to just serve it with the meal or whatever. So I told her I would bring it to you guys because our ordinance doesn't address this. But it can be allowed if that is your so wishes, and if you wanted to allow it for this one request, I guess I would want what your feeling was and said how you want to move forward. If you do want to have it in ordinance, how you would continue in the future, if you want to address it each time yourselves, just how you.
I think we do want to address it each time.
Okay, and that's fine. I would bring something back at the next meeting just to kind of draw out. Not saying you have to approve it at the next meeting, but I guess my one question would be, are you willing to approve this request at this meeting?
And it's on the agenda.
Right, it is.
And
Or do they have, did they provide you with the proof of insurance?
No, because I didn't know what you guys would be asking for. I mean, if that's gonna be part of your request, I will let them
Did
know.
they indicate that they would have needed?
Yeah, I think they would, because I told them, I indicated that, you know, I reached out to some other towns and this is kind of how they handle it. I have no idea how you guys would request since it's not something we've ever done before.
And is that something we need to let our insurance make them aware of? That
No, because they're supposed to, like, bars are supposed to have insurance when they serve alcohol. in your community. So it would just be a request that you would ask these people to provide you with insurance.
Any idea how long they're gonna use the community center?
I think it's just for like
One night.
one night.
But
just a
5
welcome.
hour, 6 hour party, 12 hour party,
Doesn't say.
I'm just curious.
I can look on the calendar just to see if it's specific. in there.
It says private meeting on September 7th.
On the calendar here, it says 1 to 6. when they Have it rented for.
So it's daytime. Okay. So,
So if you so wished, I guess I would ask that the motion include that I need to have proof of insurance and like $1 million insurance coverage, what kind of insurance? 500,000, whatever your thought is.
Do you, was it done to you? Do they sign off on it when he gets drunk and falls through the window and needs stitches? We don't have to pay for it, really.
Well, they're supposed to, when they rent this facility anyway, as part of the agreement and stuff, they're supposed to be signing off on a waiver anyway, that they will, it's a hold harmless waiver, that they would not hold us responsible if something did happen during their event.
There's always one in the crowd.
Right, yep, no, I get it.
what's the dollar amount?
I'm not even certain I would even know what that dollar amount would be. I'm sure. I mean, do we check on that through our own insurance? Or, I mean, I don't feel that we can just come up with a certain amount of coverage, that there's gotta be kind of a rate that is normal for these type of events.
Carolyn, where's the, in the packet?
Well, it's, and then I just included, I only got information from Acoma and Sturgis. As far as applications, whatever that
What
they
other places?
provide, but the others were just response and emails that I just copied onto a document so you could see what their response was.
Do we know how many people approximately?
I think it said on the calendar. It's the date, September, what you tell me again?
It's a 39-day vacation, yeah. Or be here.
Says roughly 50 people attending.
Must be a group of a certain kind of camper, huh, like the
Right.
Airstream group or
Airstream
something.
or something like that.
Yes, I don't really see a problem with it if there's, if they're gonna show you some kind of proof of insurance. Unless, like Mike says, we need to have the insurance coverage of it.
Well, we do have insurance coverage on this building and to cover, you know, but still part of the rental applications and stuff is for them to sign off on a waiver that they will hold us harmless if something happens during their event. Because, I mean, somebody could come into the city office and they could trip and fall flat on their face. And they would have they could ask for insurance, you know, I mean.
Yeah, I guess it all comes down to whatever the coverage would need to be, and I don't.
Appropriate coverage, could we use that word?
Well, Sturgis wants $1 million liability. And it's probably not crazy because,
No,
you know, if there's an event and
Damage and injury.
damage and vehicles and,
well, and the other thing is, you know, adventure caravans, and they're doing a 39-day tour, so they're going from somewhere to somewhere. I would think they would have insurance, and so they would be able to provide us with proof, and if we want to set a $1 million limit or whatever, designation, with that understanding, would we be able to approve this request to allow them to use the community center and serve beer and wine?
Yes.
Is that your motion? Okay,
Sure.
okay, is there a second? Okay, Jerry is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
hi,
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
So do you want me to put something together?
it'd be nice,
Yeah.
I see that there's all these forms, and it'd be nice if you kind of pick one and pitch it to us. Modified, that kind of makes sense for us.
And just have something.
Yeah, 'cause it'd be great to have a form.
And it isn't liquor, it's just beer and wine they're asking for. They're not-
Wine is better. I know,
No.
it is, it does not fall under the malt beverage. I mean,
It's not-
it doesn't.
Okay,
I still make the motion.
did we vote on that? Did we?
I
Okay.
don't.
So, Ms. Trask, you have an attorney report.
Not in addition to executive session.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so that brings me to us to item 23, mayor's report. So we're doing some follow-up on some meetings that our committees have been doing. Rick, would you like to talk to us about our solid waste meeting? It went well,
Well,
and we
what
saw.
do we have? This wasn't the ambulance.
Yeah, it was, it's what's about.
Okay, what, I don't have a big report. I don't really know which meeting I was at, so I would like somebody else to comment.
Okay, well, Stan was the other one there besides myself, but how about if I covered this one?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Okay, so we had had some concerns about the folks that have our contract for solid waste. And we were gonna invite them to a council meeting and have them come down and visit with us about it. They chose to just sit down and visit ahead of time. And they shared with us they would pay for the door, that Mike had been working on that project. And some of the issues that we expressed, they're gonna take care of, so.
And Mary, wasn't that the new manager?
And it was a new manager, Trey.
Very nice.
Yes, he was very nice, very efficient, and just wanting to make things, get things up to par and realize that there had been a lapse there, with some different management, so they were gonna get, on top of that and get back to us.
And didn't he, if there were issues, want us to contact him directly?
Exactly. Yep.
You primed the pump, Mary, now he's full.
Okay.
So then, the estimate, that, the overhead door company, he did see that estimate then.
No, he had it taken care of.
He bought the
He'd
door.
already ordered them. and
Is he
taken
They
using the
may
same-
be in by
Is
now.
he using the same company?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Mhm.
I just wanted to make sure.
Because, and I don't know if he did that based on, because you know, they just paid for that repair bill too, that I had a question on, and that's who that was through, and so I don't know if he just decided that's what they.
You read the contract? He said, I think we're responsible. They had the door. He bought it. He paid for it. And I'm not so sure it's not already in. It's gonna be placed quite soon. Okay, so then we have the ambulance board meeting.
was there.
You were there?
Yeah.
Me and Dan.
Yeah, you did. Well, Dan did go and so did I because Mike wasn't able to go. And we had some concerns, so we just sat down with the folks there and had some discussions and feel confident that's moving ahead. And, yeah.
Will they get any of the ambulance people back or no? Probably not.
Well, we didn't quite get to that part because we're working on getting their board up to full speed.
Okay.
So that's our full step. Okay. And then, the Echo Valley meeting, we met with Grady and, Rusty. They had asked to visit with us. And so they weren't quite up to speed on the grant and the applications that we were doing, that Dana was coming forward with this task order. They were very pleased when they left to know that things are moving right along because they felt maybe there was a holdup. And then the other follow-up meeting, and I failed to get that on here, Kelly, you attended the chamber meeting?
Yes.
Yes, okay, and what happened there? Okay, so they passed their budget, they
Oh.
proposed a budget.
Yeah, passed the budget, talked about that a lot. And I don't think we can talk about the other thing.
Well, they talked about wall crawl and that was successful and
Yeah.
there's gonna be a follow-up meeting on that, I think, so, yeah. Okay, so, good job. Anyway, our people, our council members are out and about and meeting with different committees and staying involved with them and on top of things, as you can tell. All right, Carolyn.
Was that a little sarcastic there, Mary?
No. We just had a lot of meetings and it's been a busy time, that's for sure. So, finance officer report.
So Mary and I met with the head lifeguards on August 9th. And just to go over and see what they thought their season was and how it went and everything. And the meeting went well. They shared their positives for the year and they also gave us some feedback on some things that needs to be looked at doing next year. And I did share that document in your packet of some of the ideas that they had to look at. So some of those will probably be budget items. So we'll be looking at to include those possibly in the budget. That, and I did actually go back and look at the swimming lessons report or as they pass to the next level and stuff, and there was actually 90 children that were getting swimming lessons this year. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then the pool is closed now. It closed on August 14th. And that's all for the pool, I guess. And then I wanted to see about changing October meeting schedules because the first week of October is the South Dakota Municipal League Conference in Watertown. And my board meeting starts on that Tuesday and then the sessions run Wednesday, Thursday, and half of Friday and back. So my proposal would be to look at doing an October 3rd council meeting rather than it's the 8th. It's the day of Thursday that week.
Well, it should be the 6th and the 20th, and you're looking at
Oh,
October 3rd, right?
Yep,
Which is a Monday.
a Monday, so that, because with it being in Watertown, I'll need to leave at a fairly decent time on Tuesdays, so. And then 20th was gonna be our normal meeting, so I didn't know if you wanted to keep it that, I mean. It would be a longer time frame, but not that long. Couple days.
Well, I'm fine with the 3rd. We'd need to get in touch with Dan and Stan and let them know.
And I mean, I can put it on the September 1st agenda for approval. We've got time for that, but I just wanted to kind of get it in front of you so that you were aware and be thinking about it. I think my registration has to be in by the 15th of September, so. Just trying to get it out there for you. And, but I would like, I guess, approval to attend the conference, which, again, I said it's October 4th through the 7th, in Watertown.
Need
Yeah.
a motion?
Yeah.
So.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And then I just wanted to give you an update on the comprehensive plan schedule that we have coming up. So we have a planning and zoning meeting, scheduled on August 29th at 8:30 to, rezone some properties from their various, from commercial to residential, ag to commercial, ag to residential, and yeah, that's it, I guess. Those are the two different points. And so, we've gone ahead, and since we hopefully have a group together that day, we will have the comp plan hearing at 9 AM, and that's required by state statute for the planning and zoning to have that hearing. It's, a publication went out for the paper for that, so the public is welcome to come and give any input. And then at that meeting, there will be a recommendation to give to the council for the September 1st meeting to whether accept or approve the comprehensive plan. So that'll be on the schedule then for the September 1st meeting. If it's approved at that one, it will be published September 15th, and it will be effective 20 days, which would be then October 5th.
Great. Any questions on that?
That's all I had, unless you have questions.
What was the approved date for the comp plan? October 5th?
That's.
It
the
goes
final-
into
yeah,
effect.
It's in effect, yeah, it's considered final.
All right. You're complete?
I am thinking.
Okay, so because Garrett is a football coach, although we should have told him to come back, right? Who would have known we'd still be going? And they'd be done, but anyway, he did give me a written report. He indicated that he met with Lee and worked on the Hillcrest lots. And we've already taken a look at that. He also rented a brush mower from Generator Equipment, and he's been doing road ditches and lagoons. So he's done Airport Road, the Dump Road, James Avenue, and the sewer lagoons. And like over here by the railroad, he's done all of that. And he's also mowing around the drainage ditch behind the great campground and making it wider. And so hopefully when we get a heavy rain, it will drain faster and not flood the campground like the July 3rd rain did. So that's his report, and yeah, he's been doing a lot of mowing and stayed ahead of things.
Can I
And
say something on the flooding or ask?
sure,
All Walls water comes down to the Dakota Mill drain, keeps washing out our driveway that our trucks come in. Garrett and I talked, he said that is our responsibility. But I see they have a little excavator backhoe, wondering if he could bring that over and get all our rock back out of the city's big drainage ditch. It even goes clear over it, and has an inch and a half of rain that's clear up on our property. We're gonna have to put a retaining wall or something to keep our driveway going. They are having an engineer look at it, but I will tell you right now, that engineer says it's not our problem.
okay. So how can we help you with, okay, how does it go through your property and then over to the campground? Really?
We had to put a 100-year flood ditch in, and it does go that way on that night. You had the 3 inches, but it washed away our driveway that night. Most of our gravel was down in where the culverts are, that does need to be cleaned out.
So was Garrett receptive to,
I didn't talk to him about cleaning it out. I just asked him if it was our responsibility to take care of, and he thought it would be the landowner's
okay,
issue.
and the engineering saying no?
He has not looked at it yet. He just told me with all the water that the city dumps down there, that he thought it was the city problem.
Okay, so,
It hasn't came to my higher up bosses or anything to decide.
okay, well, can you stay in conversation with Garrett then and come back to us and tell us what you guys resolve or what your engineer says, or obviously if we're working over there by the campground, we've gotta take care of further up the stream, so that would make somewhat sense, do you think? Okay, all right. Any other questions for, or comments for Garrett? All right, so that brings us to items for discussion. Does anyone have any items we haven't talked about already? Seeing none, hearing none. Okay, our next council meeting is September 1st at 6:30. Okay, that's not a football game, right? No, that'll be the next thing. Okay, so with that being said, then we will need another executive session.
I'd make a motion, we go into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal personnel issues according to SDCL 1-25-2.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Oh, Mayor. Do I need- That I'm not seeing. But why don't you just give us a chance to do a quick go through, I mean, stay for 1 second, okay? All right,
Have a good night, council.
You too.
thank you.
Hi, guys.
Sorry I got so late. Apologize for that.
Happens when it happens.